guys, welcome back to my channel, Butterfly Spirit 314. So today guys, I have an interesting video for you today. So today's video is going to be about why it's important to ID, or rather identify, an herb before you go out in the wild to try and pick it. So I know you're not going to try and pick an herb. You're going to be tasked with wanting to pick a specific herb. But I had the experience when I was at a local event where I live, where I found a beautiful yellow flower, and I thought it looked an awful lot like goldenrod. I don't have much experience with foraging herbs or anything. I'm rather an herbalism beginner. So I thought that the plant looked eerily like goldenrod, but what I didn't want to do at the time is try and pick it or anything, because I was at an event. I was enjoying myself with my boyfriend, so I just wanted to, I admired the flowers rather, and took pictures of them. But when I got home, I took a look at the flowers, took a look at the pictures that I took at the event. And I noticed that one of the flowers did look like goldenrod. And I was just kind of stuck thinking, wow, that looks so much like goldenrod. Man, I can go ahead and pick that particular flower, because it's available for me to pick, right? Why would I do that? Well, what I want to caution you guys on is this. Don't go out and just because you see a flower or a plant that looks like an herb that you want to pick or forage, don't just go out and pick the plant. Don't just go out and, gather the flowers and leaves and seeds and stuff. Don't just do that. Please, please, please. Make sure you do your research first. It's okay to admire whatever plants or flower that you're interested in foraging. But what you guys need to be aware of is the fact that just because the plant or herb that you're looking at looks like what you want to forage does not necessarily mean that that is the herb that you want to pick. The reason you want to do research is because you want to find out if the herb that you see in front of your face is actually that herb that you want to pick to make maybe a tincture, a poultice, or salve, or whatever. You want to make sure you ID it, because there are a lot of lookalikes that look like different herbs. And you don't want to be that person who picks the lookalike and happen to ingest that lookalike or apply that lookalike topically to your skin, only to break out or have some type of liver or other types of internal damage in your body. You don't want to do that. This is why it's important to go and to identify the herb first. That may take you to, it may mean that you may have to look up some articles, read through the articles. It could take time before you get familiar with the herb, okay? But you want to be safe. You don't want to just go pick the herb, and not have any knowledge of what you're picking. Just because an herb looks like the herb that you're trying to pick, just because it looks identical to, a picture that you may have saw of that herb, does not mean that's the same herb. Like I said, there are lookalikes out there, and those lookalikes are dangerous. They are poisonous, and you don't want to find yourself going and picking it only to find out that you made a huge mistake. I'm in an herbalism group, by the way, and in that herbalism group, I see a lot of posts on Facebook that people post, and there's a lot of people who swear up and down that they see elderberry in their surroundings where they live. And they go and they, luckily they ask people before they go and pick that plant. Luckily they do, because they would be in big trouble if they did pick the lookalike to elderberry, because elderberry looks like poke salad, or what some people call pokeweed. I'm familiar with pokeweed because when I was growing up, people in my family cooked. They would take the leaves off the pokeweed plant and cook it. And cook it with spinach, and then we would eat it. It's kind of like greens, basically. So, and if you don't know what it is, that's okay. You can look it up on Google, and you'll find out what greens are. But one thing I want you to do don't get ahead of yourself and pick something without having it ID'd. You can have somebody to look at it that's a knowledgeable friend in herbs. You can have a field guide to identify it. You can also go to a field guide. So I'm gonna go back to this because I think I got a little mixed up. So you can have a knowledgeable friend to identify the herb before you guys pick it. You can go to a field guide, somebody who's knowledgeable about herbs, and let them ID the plant before you go and pick it. Okay. You can also do research online on different websites. I'm not really sure about using apps because I've been told that some of the apps to identify plants are not necessarily as reliable, or they stop working in things and they don't really identify what you want. So my advice is to definitely use those resources that I just talked about. Definitely educate yourself on the herb that you want to pick before you go out and try to forage it, and make sure that you do not forage too much of the plant, meaning you don't take all of the plant for yourself, because there are a lot of plants, animals, insects that depend on that particular herb that you're salvaging. For example, you guys see goldenrod here. There are insects and animals that depend on goldenrod. So just like goldenrod, there's other herbs out there that animals, insects, and beyond that need for their environment. So you don't want to be that person who's herb hog, as I like to call it, and you take all of that herb, and then the animals and the insects who depend on that herb during the fall and winter time won't be able to have it. You know what I mean? And what about if there's another person who wants to forage the herb that you're trying to forage, but you take all of it? You would be somebody who's hogging that herb, and you may waste the herb because you have too much of it and you can't make it fast enough. So my advice is, if you're going to forage an herb, please first research it. It's okay to take a picture and then go home and do research on an herb. That's completely fine. But please do not just pick a plant or herb without doing your research, because it could be poisonous and it could hurt you. So I just want you guys to know that. Thank you for watching this video. I hope this was helpful, and until my next video.